Good morning. It is 9:30, so just to keep everyone's train rolling, I will start and hopefully people trickle in. We had quite a few RSVPs. But today we're going to go over requirements for the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health. There are some relatively new training requirements that are required either at proposal or certified that you will complete them, and those certifications come at proposal. This is just an overview of those trainings, not the training itself. Our campus official for responsible conduct of research is Lucia Vasquez, and I am more of the support on that. But any questions can come either directly to us or it can go to our office account. We have about four of us pretty constantly monitoring that email account. Today's overview will cover National Science Foundation's responsible and ethical conduct of research, which I'll probably just call RECR throughout since it is a mouthful. We'll go over some federal research security training requirements, and it does cover most large federal agency sponsors, but I'm focusing on NSF and NIH today just because those are our more common applications that go out lately. And I really wanted to separate the National Science Foundations from the National Institutes of Health. They sound very similar, but they are pretty different in their requirements. So I really want to make sure those are different in your head, the RECR versus the RCR. And there is a training requirement for NIH that has to do with financial conflicts of interest. I won't be going over that training today. That was last week's training, but it is about a half-hour video and is recorded and is on our YouTube channel. If you cannot stay for the entire training today, the too long didn't read of it is that the National Science Foundation requires research security training before you submit your proposal. And a requirement coming up for NIH is that same requirement. They were going to require it in January and had a lot of technical issues, so they postponed that until May 25th. So that'll be a requirement in about 2 months. NSF currently requires certification at proposal that you are not involved in malign foreign talent and recruitment programs, and NSF requires that certification on two documents, the biosketch and the current and pending support. NIH will require that certification after May 25th. At the proposal stage, that's only required for NIH on the biosketch. If they decide they like your proposal and want to fund you, they will also request your current and pending support, and that certification is on that. NSF requires the RECR training after being awarded for all paid personnel, but we have to have a plan in place that we certify we have a plan at proposal. NIH requires it on some grants after being awarded, but there's a project-specific plan that should be included in the proposal. Similar, but different. Starting with responsible and ethical conduct of research for NSF. This is currently in place. This is required from a law called the Competes Act, and it has been outlined in their proposal and award policy and procedure guide, also called the PAP guide, the PAPPG, PAPG. It's called a lot of different things. That has been required for faculty and senior personnel since mid 2023. Prior to 2023, it was only required for trainees, the students, and the postdocs. At proposal submission time, whoever is submitting on behalf of the organization, the AOR, certifies that we have a plan in place to provide that training to undergrads, grads, postdocs, faculty, and anyone identified as senior and key personnel. We are certifying that our training plan includes mentor training and mentorship, awareness of potential research security threats, and federal export control, disclosure, and reporting requirements. A lot of those are also in the research security training, so it just kind of rolls up together, but they are covered by different laws. What the certification looks like on our end is just a big old block of text of different certifications, and this is the RECR certification, saying that we have a plan in place, we will oversee it, we are making sure it is being given to all of those people it applies to. What our training plan is that we are certifying we have is that you will complete it in our city program, which is cityprogram.org, unless the unit has their own specific plan that they want you to follow. If you have ever applied or recently applied for an IRB protocol, you are probably familiar with City. But if not, when you log in, there are options to register your account. When you do so, you will not affiliate with UIS. We don't have our own subscription. We are under Urbana-Champaign's. So affiliate with UIUC, but do not use the single sign-on. It will ask you 2 different times if you want the SSO. Do not choose it either time or you will encounter an error, just as a heads up. When it asks you to add those courses in City, RECR is included in question 3. And because mentoring was added on later, it is separate from the basic course. And for whatever reason, it doesn't let you click both in the same question. You have to answer it twice. So you would have to go back in after clicking basic and then do the mentoring. If you want to do additional trainings that are specific to your discipline, you are more than welcome. It is not required, just that basic level. RECR training completed in City is valid for 3 years, but if it has not been done previously, it does need to be completed within 30 days of being appointed or having the account set up for you. Or if you add someone on new, they have to complete it within 30 days of being appointed. Whoever is the PI on the NSF grant is responsible for ensuring that everyone has the training and that they have provided proof of completion of the training to our office, making sure if it's not in City that you have the names, the dates of the training completion, and the topics that were covered in the units plan. And like I said, those certificates in City are valid for 3 years. Research security training is a lot newer, so I don't think anyone that is in here has been required to do that training yet. This has been outlined in an act that's been out for a few years, but they have had time to develop the training and require it. And this act, you may hear a lot whenever you come to our trainings. It was signed in order to boost U.S. competitiveness and leadership in research and development. And some of the things that the CHIPS and Science Act did was authorize higher funding at NSF. And if Congress were to actually appropriate that money, the budget for NSF next year will be double what it was just a few years ago. Again, just depending on actual appropriation. They don't always authorize or appropriate what is authorized. It's made to strengthen early stage research and invest in research infrastructure, invest in STEM education and workforce development, and broaden participation in STEM. And the one that comes up here is setting up the NSF Office of Research Security and Policy. They are the ones who created this requirement, and it has been required by NSF for about 4 months now. That's how new it is. And this will also go into effect May 25th for NIH. Research security training applies only to those who are identified as senior or key personnel. RECR requires everyone to take that training, whereas this one just applies to those higher level investigators. This training has to cover cybersecurity, international collaboration, foreign influence, rules for proper use of funds, disclosure, conflict of commitment, and conflicts of interest. Mouthful. And in those documents that are in Science CV, BioSketch, and your current and pending support, include your certifications that you've completed that training. Not only do you have to certify you've completed it, whoever submits in our office also has to say that we have confirmed that you've completed the training. This has to be completed within 12 months before submitting your proposal, and it has to be renewed annually while engaging in the federally funded research. The certification for you as an investigator looks like this in Science CV. Sometimes we just see a bunch of text and we click certify, but this certification is the third one. Research security training requirement has been completed 12 months prior to proposal submission. And even more text heavy for whoever submits it. This is what ours looks like. It says pretty much the same thing, but that we're certifying that you have completed. We do not have, well, we do have it in city, actually. Um, but it was created by the National Science Foundation's Secure Center. That was part of what happened with that research office that was created with the CHIPS and Science Act. And it used to be 4 separate modules that took about 6 hours to complete, but they have condensed and consolidated it into a single module. They have made it available for universities to upload into their learning systems. So Champaign does have it available, and we are able to log in with our Net ID through their website. And the exact same course is in City. So whichever one you want to use, feel free. They will both create certificates that have your name and when you completed it, which is what we need to see. If you do it in City, this is what it looks like. It's in question 9. You just have to make sure you choose that combined course. It tries to be a little more interactive. It has videos and click question answers, but it does take a lot less time than it would have before they consolidated it. Just because it's by NSF does not mean that NSF is the only one that accepts it. So NSF accepts it. NIH is planning to accept it once they roll out the requirement in a couple of months. And other agencies, because CHIPS and Science is a federal act, are working on rolling out their research security policies. And it's expected that the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, and the USDA will also accept this training for their research security requirements instead of having to do different training for each agency. So this is what it looks like. The videos, they have scenarios, and it's all in one place instead of being those 4 separate modules. I mentioned earlier that you have to certify that you're not party to a malign foreign talent recruitment program, or an MFTRP, and that is in the CHIPS and Science Act. Go figure. And what that says is that you are prohibited from participating in MFTRPs if you are receiving federal funds. This is certified in those Science CV documents and recertified annually. And if you have done your RNUA in the last year, you have also seen that certification. It was added, I think, just recently in this cycle, but we don't always know what that means. Hopefully the answer is not that you are just certifying to get things done. Don't do that, please don't. But what it means, actually back up. Without the malign, a foreign talent recruitment program is organized, managed, or funded by a government to recruit professionals or students to targeted fields, usually science and technology. Totally allowed, not an issue, as long as you're disclosing it and potentially managing it. The issue is with the word malign, which, if you look up the Google definition of it, it means evil. Malign is the bad programs. These are the ones that are prohibited. These are programs that encourage unethical, non-transparent, or even criminal actions. They are asking you not to disclose to your university that you're involved. They want you to divert funds from the university. They want you to apply for patents internationally before you apply for them domestically, which is against the CHIPS and Science Act. It's just those programs that are not good, that you're not supposed to be a part of. Hopefully you're not. I mean, if you were, you probably wouldn't certify that you weren't. But regardless, these are the ones that are prohibited. The certification for you is in that same Science CV format. That's the second one. And then we will also confirm that you are not part of it. A cautionary tale that happened across my email literally a month ago today has to do with recertifying annually. So I am in a listserv with other research administrators, and one that we got from another institution was about a PI who was on an NSF grant. It was its final year, and he was working as a reviewer for NSF for a different one. Totally okay, not an issue. He was rushing, he was traveling, and so he downloaded proposals to review while he was traveling. And because CHIPS and Science is still pretty new, they're putting out those requirements, there was a new section of the NSF portal. He went in, he answered a bunch of questions, and of course it says, are you part of an MFTRB? He answered yes. Didn't mean to, wasn't paying attention. couldn't undo it. I just saw that, Rick, you have your hand raised. Sorry, I overlooked that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. This is great so far. I was just wondering, is there a list of foreign governments that are automatically considered maligned? Is that part of this?
It's not part of this. It changes, well, it's technically changes daily. If you were to Google it, there are specific countries that are sanctioned. And I think the list right now is only 4 countries. I guess I haven't looked recently. Um, but yeah, so there are 4 or 5 that are automatically considered
Okay.
not malign necessarily, but they are completely, I know sanction isn't the right word. Um, but yes, there are specific countries that are
The so-called naughty list, right? That
yeah,
we
yeah.
Okay.
So anytime that there's proposed foreign activity, we'll do an export control check to see if there are, travel sanctions or if there are export control issues. But there are those, like North Korea is automatically not going to go. I think Syria, oh gosh, I should have looked this up beforehand. But yes, there are some that are just complete no-goes
Thank you.
and others that just have some restrictions, but not totally prohibited. Let's see, back to our story. So he didn't mean to click yes, but as soon as he clicked yes, he couldn't unclick it. Um, and that caused a lot of extra work on the back end. NSF emailed same day, and they had the authorized representative say that it was an error, made sure the PI certified that it was an error. He didn't mean to click it. That wasn't good enough. NSF escalated it. The representative had a request that they had to do an internal investigation to make sure he was not actually party to this malign program. A dean had to lead it, HR had to review it, lots of paperwork, a report saying they could not find anything in this investigation. Still wasn't good enough. NSF wanted to see a copy of all of the reviews and know who did the reviews. The CFO had to respond, provide a copy of the report, and eventually it satisfied NSF and the PI was cleared. So it was from the beginning to February until February 27th, well, 26th, the day before. And then at the end of their email, they said teachable moment. Read the question, type carefully, review before submitting. And the one that I thought was interesting was do all of your compliance training. They had to turn in their certificates. Typically, we just certify that we've seen the certificates. We don't have to provide them, but they wanted to see them at that time. And they wanted to make sure it was done prior to submission. So they will check if they need to, make sure we've got those certificates. And like I said, I wanted to keep the RECR and the RCR separate. They are related but different. NIH only requires it on grants that include trainees, fellows, participants, and scholars receiving support. So it will say training, career development, research education grants, dissertation grants, and it will say it in the funding opportunity announcement. So you shouldn't be caught off guard that this is required. The activity codes that require this instruction are in one of the NIH notices. And here's a screenshot. You can see there's about 35 different grant codes that require it. I think I got through half the list before I decided to stop looking, but I think they all say research or career training development grant. And then a different notice includes the instructional components that should be in this training plan. They require face-to-face instruction as a key feature. They want to make sure that the trainees are discussing, actively learning, engaged, and interacting. And the requirement that at least 8 hours are considered contact or face-to-face hours. And they don't want you relying exclusively on video conferencing. A lot of these topics are available on City, but because they want that discussion and engagement, don't over rely on City. And it needs to be taken at least once every career stage and no less than every 4 years. Because this does not have to go through City, it's in person. Really make sure as the trainer, you're documenting attendance, names, dates, topics covered. Lots of topics to include as you are training new researchers, including conflicts of interest, conflicts of commitment, human subject policies, live vertebrate animals, I won't read the entire list to you. Uh, Obviously, if it doesn't apply to the training grant, you don't necessarily have to cover it. It would just merit inclusion if it applied. So if you are not dealing with live vertebrate animal subjects, obviously you can handle the training, but it's not required. Um, but yeah, lots of things to cover, and it does not have to be done the second it's funded. It's over the course of the funding. So the summary, security training required for senior key personnel at submission 12 months prior to the submission date and renewed annually. MFTRP certification at proposal. We certify as well at proposal. NIH, exactly the same, except not in effect yet. NSF conduct of research is done on city for anyone participating on the NSF funded research. If you haven't already taken it within 3 years before being awarded, have to complete it within 30 days. We certify that there is a plan in place at the proposal time. NIH varies, required for trainees as opposed to everyone on certain grants. The PI is responsible for the plan instead of the institution. Required every 4 years and then at each career stage, and includes at least 8 contact hours. Lots of resources if you want them. This slideshow is available in Box, and so they are hyperlinked. You can look at all of the things that are there. But otherwise, that is the training. Any questions, anything?